Good evening, and welcome to Commitment to Cures, an American Brain Foundation event that celebrates and raises funding to support research that promises to find cures for the complete spectrum of brain diseases. I'm Dr. David Dodick. I'm a professor of neurology at the Mayo Clinic, and I have the incredible privilege and honor to chair the board of directors of the American Brain Foundation. Tonight, we were supposed to be in the great city of Toronto hosting this live event in person. However, thanks to a lot of hard work from a remarkably creative team, we're able to bring this to many more people around the world. And I'm so grateful to you all for joining us virtually from your homes tonight in support of brain disease awareness and research. Now more than ever, we need opportunities to celebrate, and tonight we will celebrate remarkable scientific achievements and several truly remarkable people, each of whom has made such a big difference in the lives of so many people. My co-host is the Vice Chair of the American Brain Foundation, Susan Schneider-Williams. Welcome, Susan.
Thank you, David. First, we'd like to thank the American Brain Foundation Board of Directors, who raised more than $75,000 to kick off tonight's event, helping us get closer to our goal of 200,000. We'd also like to thank our event committee and its chair, Dr. Joseph Servin, for their work in making tonight's event possible. We would also like to acknowledge our generous and committed sponsors for supporting our efforts to end brain disease. Our top sponsors are, as founding sponsor, the American Academy of Neurology, as platinum sponsor, Amgen, and as gold sponsors, the National Hockey League Players Association, Allergan, and Teva Pharmaceuticals. Tonight, we also extend our deep gratitude to our fellow healthcare professionals and other essential workers currently fighting the COVID-19 pandemic on the front lines. We are in the middle of an unprecedented global health crisis that is calling physicians and healthcare providers from all backgrounds to serve on the front lines. We thank each and every one of you.
Thank you, Susan. For those just tuning in, again, I'm Dr. David Dodick. I'm the chair of the American Brain Foundation. I'm here with Susan Schneider-Williams, our vice chair. This is the American Brain Foundation's Commitment to Cures, a night that's dedicated to celebrating neurology and brain disease research. You know, brain diseases such as Alzheimer's disease and Parkinson's disease, multiple sclerosis, epilepsy, stroke, migraine, and many others affect 1 in every 6 Americans and are the leading causes of disability worldwide. If we include mental health disorders and chronic pain, both of which are associated with changes in the function and in the structure of the brain, we can add another 100 million more Americans who are affected. So as a result, there are few among us who are not directly or indirectly touched by brain disease. Fortunately, we have witnessed significant advances in the treatment of many brain disorders and diseases, and we are on the cusp of major discoveries that could lead to cures. So while you enjoy what our host and our speakers have planned for you tonight, we invite you to give in support of brain research by going to the AmericanBrainFoundation.org and making a contribution so that we can continue our mission of funding research across the entire spectrum of brain diseases. And I know that this is a cause that's very important to you, Susan.
Yes, David. The American Brain Foundation has raised and given away close to 30 million, enabling over 250 researchers to receive funding for their scientific investigations. And this cause is very personal to me. My husband, Robin Williams, was diagnosed with both Parkinson's disease and Lewy body dementia. And these two diseases have very closely related pathology. That is, they both have Lewy bodies in the brain. In the search to understand the common mechanisms by which Lewy bodies are produced and neurons subsequently degenerate, researchers could end up unlocking a cure for multiple diseases. That's why I am so dedicated to the American Brain Foundation's mission to ensure researchers are getting the funds that they need to go after these brain diseases. Let's look at a video about the American Brain Foundation.
Brain disease affects 1 in 6 people, nearly 55 million Americans. Brain diseases like Alzheimer's disease, multiple sclerosis, epilepsy, stroke, and hundreds more. The American Brain Foundation brings the public and researchers together in our mission to cure brain diseases and disorders. Backed by 36,000 neurologists from the American Academy of Neurology, we are committed to providing education, understanding, hope, and compassion. The American Brain Foundation invests in research of the whole brain, knowing brain diseases are interrelated. We believe that when we cure one of these diseases, we will cure many. Imagine life without brain disease. Join our fight at www.americanbrainfoundation.org.
So as a foundation that's dedicated to the entire spectrum of neurological diseases, we are committed to recognizing public figures who use their position and their big hearts to advocate for people with specific brain diseases, creating awareness and an understanding of those diseases, and generating support that drives research forward in the pursuit of a cure. So tonight, it's my singular honor, believe me, to present our first award of the night, the American Brain Foundation's Ambassador Award, to our MC, Mr. Jim Cramer. Jim Cramer is an American television personality. He's a best-selling author. He's the co-founder of TheStreet.com, and he's the host of Mad Money on CNBC. And as you'll see, Jim felt strongly that he did not want others to endure what he did. And so he grabbed the mantle as the spokesperson for the American Migraine Foundation. And I have personally seen up close how he approaches his advocacy for the 1 billion people around the world living with migraine. He does it with the intensity, the warmth, and the passion that has become his stock in trade. I thought you'd like that, Jim. We have a video to share a little more about his migraine journey and advocacy efforts with our viewers.
Did you know that migraine is the 3rd most common disease in the world and affects over 36 million Americans? Or that it's the 2nd leading cause of neurological disease burden in the world? Or that it's the leading cause of disability in people under the age of 55? See, I had access to the finest doctors in the country. And yet it still took me years to get the right diagnosis and find an effective treatment. Many people with migraine have had to struggle significantly longer than I have. And unfortunately, almost half of you in the US with migraine still don't have a diagnosis, and many more still don't have effective treatment. But I'm here today to tell you that it's not all bleak. There are doctors out there who have devoted their lives and careers to caring for people living with migraine.
Mr. Cramer, on behalf of the American Brain Foundation and the more than 40 million people with migraine in the United States and the more than 1 billion people worldwide, my heartfelt congratulations and my deepest thanks.
Dr. Dodig, thank you so much. And thank you to everyone, to Susan. I'd like to thank, of course, in absentia to Dr. Larry Newman, who finally diagnosed me after multiple years of not knowing what I had. Some things changed. I didn't have to wear my N95 to this because I'm home. We wear these all day now, and I hope everyone else does. And some things are the same. I have my Inura because it's really raining outside. So what do I have? Of course, I have migraine. That's okay, because I'm with other people who have them, and I feel comfortable when I'm with other people who have them. I'm deeply honored tonight to receive this recognition. I really am, from the American Brain Foundation, because I got a chance to tell people, you're not supposed to talk about it on TV. People might think that you don't know what you're doing. I don't care. I want to help other people so that they feel like they can talk about it too, without retribution or people thinking that they have cognition problems or concentration problems. As one of the 39 million Americans who live with migraine, and we live with it every day, I'm blessed. Amgen, one of our sponsors, has been great enough to create a drug called Aimovig, which gives me a huge number of days that I am migraine free. So thank you, Amgen. I understand the fear of the next attack. I understand the fear of waking up and thinking, is today a bad day? And knowing it'll be a bad day all day. The stigma of the disease is debilitating impacts. So I felt by sharing my life story, I hope to be a voice for those living with migraine around the world who don't have a voice or are afraid to have a voice for fear that someone will think they're inferior or that they shouldn't be hired or they can't do the job. If I can help even one person find relief, I know I did a good thing and I made a difference. So I want to thank the American Brain Foundation, people for giving me a chance and for inviting me to be tonight's MC. I came fresh from my Mad Money stock and trade, Dr. Dodig set, and I'm honored to do this. I am passionate about finding a cure for brain disease, and I know that the people in this room are helping to do that. So I'm very excited to be here. Now, I know that you're going to see that we're really on remote in a second. And I do want to say hello to my wife. We were looking forward to going up to Toronto. She was very, very excited about it. Lisa's in there somewhere. And I say hello to Lisa because Lisa puts up with me during my migraine. And I want to kick the dog because the dog is barking so much louder. But it's not barking louder at all. That's just my head. She understands. So hi, Lisa. Now, without further ado, let me introduce you to David Eagleman. David is the member of the American Brain Foundation Board of Directors. Dr. Eagleman is a neuroscientist, he's an entrepreneur, and best-selling author on the brain. He will present our next award to a very special guest. David?
Thanks, Jim. It's a great pleasure for me this year to give the Public Leadership in Neurology Award. And this award goes to a person who has leveraged her own experiences and her public renown to advance awareness of brain disease. The 2020 recipient is Emilia Clarke. She's known to many of you as Daenerys Targaryen on Game of Thrones. And in that role, she seemed totally invincible. But in real life, during the filming for the series, she suffered 2 strokes. And to her, it seemed like everything, her life, her career, it was all lost. But thanks to the doctors and nurses who treated her, she made a slow and steady recovery. And then she was back to straddling dragons again before anyone on the outside world knew her secret. Now, to her immense credit and with a great deal of bravery, she went public with her experience last year in the New Yorker magazine. And in that way, she was able to educate her worldwide fan base about the wonders of the brain and its fragilities. And also about the remarkable people who dedicate their lives to helping other people when their brains get hurt. She has founded a new charity called Same You to support patients and caregivers involved in neurorehabilitation. So it's my great pleasure to present the Public Leadership in Neurology Award to actor and activist Emilia Clarke.
I just want to say thank you so much to the American Brain Foundation for honouring me with this incredible award. I never in a million years thought that the work that I was doing with Same You would be recognised so early on. So thank you so much. As someone who herself is still living through her own recovery, it's really remarkable to be able to be seen for what I'm trying to do. The issue of neurorehabilitation is so important to me because I am still on my own recovery with my own neurorehabilitation. I had 2 brain hemorrhages and the road to recovery has been eventful, and it's been incredibly educational for what worked for me and what could work for many other people. I also see it as a complete white space. The main thing that I want to do through shining a light on this is to help get rid of the stigma around brain injury. And if we're kind to people in their recovery, then that can be a possibility. Thank you so much to the American Brain Foundation. I am incredibly honoured and touched and moved, and watch this space because there's so much more to come.
Well, that was just awesome. And the courage that you show, Ms. Clarke. Thank you so much. Thank you for your efforts to raise awareness for brain disease and neurorehabilitation, a result of your personal experience. And thank you for coming forward and talking about it, because you're an inspiration to many. And of course, personally loved by my wife, who thought that she might be sitting next to you if she flew up to Toronto. But that's okay, because we're raising money for a good cause, and that was incredible. All right, this time I want to encourage everyone watching to join in Ms. Clarke's efforts in supporting brain research by helping the American Brain Foundation meet the fundraising goal that's so important for tonight. So what do? We donate now by heading over to AmericanBrainFoundation.org, AmericanBrainFoundation.org. And that's how we'll help out. This next award goes to someone who has used his stature in the field of sports to raise awareness of concussion and traumatic brain injury. I actually wish there were others who would do what he does. He is alone, I think, in doing this. There are almost 3 million traumatic brain injury related emergency department visits, hospitalizations, and deaths per year in this country. Over 837,000 of these events occur among children. So, David, will you do the honors and present, for sports fans, this year's Commitment to Cures Award?
Absolutely, Jim. Well, it's a special honor for me as a former amateur hockey player myself who grew up in Nova Scotia to award our Commitment to Cures Award to Sidney Crosby. Truly one of the greatest ice hockey players of all time and a true legend of the game. And also, by the way, a fellow Nova Scotian. On New Year's Day in 2011, during the Winter Ice Hockey Classic game, Sidney Crosby suffered a serious concussion that sidelined him for the rest of the season and for parts of the next season. And during that time, he gave his legion of fans and the public at large an intimate look into how frightening and disabling concussion can be, how it can threaten and end careers, and how he personally battled back. As the sports world watched anxiously, he made this invisible injury very visible, and he revealed the desperate need for research that relentlessly drives us toward an effective treatment that can help accelerate the healing and recovery. That the game's biggest star and one of its toughest players took the time that was needed before returning back to the game. He's not only prolonged his own career and continues to break records, but he inspired a generation of kids who looked to him as a role model, and he raised the public and the medical community's consciousness around the realities of sports concussion. So it's my honor to present the Commitment to Cures Award to Sidney Crosby. Check this out, but keep your elbows down.
The most anticipated night of the season in the NHL so far. It was just a matter of when Sidney Crosby would make his return.
Holy cheese and crackers! Yeah!
He's the best player in the world.
Sidney Crosby doing the magical things that he does.
Your life could change after this year, so I'm just trying to cherish every moment I can.
It's a very, very, very lucky day for our organization, our city, and our fans worldwide.
The biggest thing is he likes to play the game hard. And even though he's not a big guy, he's extremely tenacious, and that's going to be something the Pittsburgh Penguins really welcome.
He's got all the tools to be a great one.
You know that I got it. Yeah. You know that I got it. Yeah. You know that I got it.
Crosby
Crosby clicking on all cylinders, playing like no hockey player had played in this era.
You know that I got it. Yeah. All this game up in my pocket.
Set your line, set your line.
You know that I got it.
Sidney Crosby's down behind the play.
Your life could change after this year. Life could change after this year. Life could change after this year.
In the midst of a career year, the only thing that was able to stop the best hockey player in the world was a concussion.
I don't even know how to explain it or what to say about it. It's just a frustrating time. With that, it was just the unknown.
Have you ever had a concussion?
No. Yeah, you feel off, headaches, feeling a little sick.
It really doesn't look like it.
Yeah, it's pretty serious, and I don't want to come back too soon. I know that they won't allow that to happen.
He was a Hall of Fame player anyway, and he was determined to come back to be Sidney Crosby again.
Why did it take Sidney Crosby so long to get to this point?
Sidney Crosby listened to his body, and the signs were there that he wasn't healthy enough to return to the National Hockey League until this point.
You know, it's something I've thought about a lot over the last 10 months or whatever it's been, so pretty excited.
Sidney, ready? Good, your start.
Let's go, Mark, let's go. The atmosphere is electric here in this building.
Here's Crosby with a burst of speed up the middle, gets up and scores! Welcome back, Sid! Didn't you just know he'd do something like that?
Sid's comeback was incredible because it became apparent he was the same Sid right away.
The spotlight didn't diminish, and neither did Crosby's performance, raising awareness for concussions and his level of play once he returned to the ice.
No match for 87 Sidney Crosby.
You ready? You look ready.
You're on our team. We got the best player in the world.
Hey, it's not going to be easy. Let's go. We got it.
Oh, Crosby, what a leader, what a leader.
For the most part, still always kind of found a way to get through it, and that's ultimately the best part about it. I'm just trying to cherish every moment I can.
First, I want to say hi to everyone watching here tonight. I know a lot has changed over the last 4 or 5 weeks, and I'm sure with that, our perspectives have too. I hope for everyone good health, and I hope that we continue to help one another. I'd like to thank the American Brain Foundation for recognizing me for this honor. All the hard work and research that you guys put forward is so important to helping those who have had brain injuries. And I know in my case, the support and everyone being there around me, everything that went into it was so important to me feeling better and getting back to where I wanted to be. So thank you for everything that you do. My friends and family were a huge support over the course of my injury. It wasn't always easy to relate, not always easy to explain a good day from a bad one, but they're always there to help and listen and support in any way that they could. My team, the National Hockey League, the National Hockey League Players Association, and as well, all the amazing doctors I was fortunate enough to work with were also very instrumental into me getting better. One in particular, Dr. Carrick and his team, you guys were so encouraging, so optimistic from day one, and instilled in me it wasn't a matter of if, only a matter of when I was going to get back on the ice. So thank you for that. Missing a year of hockey taught me a lot, in particular to not take anything for granted. I thought I loved the game before I got hurt, and trust me, I love the game, but I loved it even more being able to come back and play the game that I love every day. So I think there was important dialogue, important education that happened because of this injury. I think that moving forward, we've gotten much better at educating ourselves and understanding what it is as far as necessary steps with concussions. So those are all such positive things. So as much as I don't like to reflect and look back on it, I know that there was a lot of good that came from it too. So that I'm certainly proud of. Lastly, I'd like to just recognize a couple people. First, Colby Cave, who recently passed away due to complications from a brain bleed. Colby was 25 years old, living his dream of playing in the NHL, And there's a memorial fund in his name, the Colby Cave Memorial Fund, if you want to know more about his story. But my condolences go to his family. And secondly, I'd just like to congratulate Emilia Clarke for the amazing work that you've done, for being recognized for this award, and for turning the adversity that you went through into an opportunity to help others. So congratulations, and thank you again to the American Brain Foundation for this award, and hope everyone stays healthy. And thank you again, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Crosby. If I had gotten to meet you in person, but of course, because of COVID, we couldn't, I wanted to tell you a story about how I had been to an event around the holiday time. And I had said that I was going to Toronto. This person happened to be a Hall of Famer from Toronto. And that I was going to and he said, why am I going? I said, well, I'm going to go talk about brain awareness. I'm going to actually talk about the problems I have with my brain. And he said, oh my God, you're like Crosby. I mean, Crosby's actually one, and I said, Sidney Crosby, that's just going to be there. So Mr. Crosby is known as someone who's willing to come forward. If we had more Crosbys, if we had some people in other sports to be able to say it, then I think people would not feel alone. I know I felt horribly alone when I had migraine, woke up with it and realized, I said, it's just me. And I'm sure there are people who have suffered concussions who don't think that they even have concussions. And Mr. Crosby's done more than anybody else I know to talk about it. We are, of course, glad to see him back on the virtual ice. And I say that even though I'm a Philadelphia Flyers fan. So for those of you tuning in, I'd like to take this opportunity to talk about what the American Brain Foundation does and why their work is incredibly important. The American Brain Foundation invests millions of dollars every year to support innovative scientific inquiries across the whole spectrum of brain diseases and disorders. We believe that when we cure one of these diseases, we're going to cure many. We like to imagine life without brain disease. Can you imagine that without brain disease? And help us make this possible by donating at AmericanBrainFoundation.org. Now, did you know that an estimated 5.8 million Americans aged 65 and older are living with Alzheimer's and other dementias? In 2020, 80% are aged 75 or older. The American Brain Foundation is funding research to find a cure for just this incredibly difficult disease. So here with us tonight is Ms. Andy Potemkin. Andy and her family have been instrumental in the area of Alzheimer's disease and dementia research. Referred to as the Nobel Prize of Alzheimer's Research, the Potemkin Prize honors researchers for outstanding science that advances the understanding of Pick's disease, Alzheimer's disease, and related disorders. The $100,000 prize is an internationally recognized tribute. Here's Andy Potemkin to help us present the esteemed Potemkin Prize.
Thank you, Jim. The Potemkin Prize recognizes and celebrates the scientists who push forward the field of study in brain disease, advancing the diagnosis, management, and search for the cure. Since establishing the award in 1988, we have bestowed more than $3 million to almost 70 researchers, paving the way towards a series of groundbreaking discoveries. The Potemkin Prize was established in honor of Luba Potemkin, my grandmother and an iconic television personality, who was diagnosed with Pick's disease in 1978, when little was known about brain degenerative diseases. We are now in the 4th decade of the Potemkin Prize. By sponsoring continuous research and by providing funding to multiple scientists over the course of decades, we aim to layer innovative findings into potential treatments. It is my honor to introduce Dr. J. Paul Taylor, Chair of Cell and Molecular Biology at St. Jude Research Hospital, and the recipient of this year's Potemkin Prize.
Thanks very much, Andy. Very pleased to be with everyone tonight. The American Brain Foundation insisted I dress nice, so here I am in my jacket and tie, even though I'm in my little home office. Please forgive the cap. They also insisted on that, or you would all be subjected to how my hair looks after 3 months without a visit to the barber. I swear if this sheltering goes on much longer, I'm going to go get some clippers from Amazon and go for the Jim Cramer look, I think. But in all seriousness, I want to thank Andy, the entire Potemkin family, and the American Brain Foundation not only for recognizing me, but for your generous support and investment in neurological disease research. I'm really delighted and also humbled to receive this honor. Sorry I can't be with you in person. Although I'm the one that's accepting this award, I need to point out that it's really a tribute to an army of talented young scientists, particularly graduate students and postdocs who've worked in my lab over the past 15 years. And it's them that have really done the hard work at the laboratory bench, and discussions with them and learning from their perspectives and their insights that we've been able to move research forward. I should also point out that I wouldn't be here without the guidance and inspiration of some really amazing mentors, especially Kurt Fischbeck, Virginia Lee and John Trojanowski, Huda Zogby, Don Cleveland, John Hardy, just to name a few. And it's particularly meaningful to me that some of these mentors previously received this award, and I recognize that I'm in rare company as I join this list. There's one message I want to deliver tonight, and that's that we should be excited, hopeful, and very optimistic about the future for treatments for neurodegenerative disease. Back at the beginning of my career, when I was still a practicing neurologist, I focused mainly on patients with neurodegeneration. And following the lead of my physician mentors, I would tell patients, there's no treatment available today, but we hope to have good therapy in about 5 years. And then 5 years would go by and I would find myself saying the same thing. And it was frustrating to offer little more than a diagnosis or symptomatic treatment back in those days. And I realized I could probably make a more meaningful contribution to patients by switching my focus to research, trying to understand the basis of these diseases so that we could develop treatment. And it's been immensely satisfying over about 20 years now to be part of the community of researchers that are doing exactly that, and to witness the amazing trajectory in which therapies are emerging for truly devastating diseases. We've now seen that success is possible, and there are definitely more successes to come. Just as an example, in the last few years, spinal muscular atrophy, a neurodegenerative disease that used to be the #1 genetic killer of young children, has become a treatable condition. And breakthroughs like this have fundamentally changed our view of neurodegeneration as conditions for which treatment really is possible. In fact, potential therapies are emerging at a rate that is outpacing our ability to examine and implement them in the clinic. And we at St. Jude are seizing this opportunity and capitalizing on our strengths in experimental therapeutics and discovery science to expand beyond our historic focus on pediatric cancer and to meet this urgent need in neurological diseases. So I'm delighted to say that St. Jude is now pursuing a new translational neuroscience initiative to apply the St. Jude model to accelerate neurological disease research. I'm really grateful to be contributing to this momentum and to be part of this new era of research. And I look forward to sharing all these successes with patients in the future. So thank you very much.
I want to thank you, Dr. Taylor, for explaining so much to us just now. The Potemkin family's philanthropic gifts through the American Brain Foundation made this award possible. And I want to thank the Potemkin family for your investment in brain research, and to Dr. Taylor for his incredible research. Now, Andy, I should tell you that your fabulous grandmother and my pop went to grade school together. They were children and all elementary school. And every time the commercials would come on, my father would say how much he loved your grandma. And I can also tell you that he had an incredible question. But we're talking about, I don't know, 85 years ago, but I remember it. So you should be very proud. Your mother was revered. Your grandmother was revered in our house, just revered, much more for what she did later in her life than for her promotion. And so thank you for being an inspiration, particularly to all Philadelphians who know exactly her story and your great family. Leading up to this event, we asked you to share your brain disease story using the hashtag #CureOne, I also encourage viewers to continue submitting their stories. We love your stories to the American Brain Foundation by using the hashtag #CureOne on social media. Thank you for sharing your stories with us. I know I put mine up constantly. People say, oh, there he is again. I don't care. They don't just sit there and watch your feed. They come to it periodically. So keep putting them up. Next up, I would like to invite Jim Essey. He's an American Brain Foundation board member, and he's going to present the next award. This is the Sheila Essey Award. It's an award for ALS research, sometimes referred to as Lou Gehrig's disease. 5,000 people in the US are diagnosed with ALS every year. It is estimated that 30,000 Americans may be living with it. Jim is joined by Dr. Mara Jakovich. She is a former Essey Award recipient, head of neurology at Massachusetts General Hospital, and a member of the American Brain Foundation's Research Advisory Committee. Jim?
I was just introduced by Jim Cramer. How incredible is that? Thrown off my game. But
you think of Mass Gen? I know someone who works at Mass Gen is one of the greatest hospital in the world.
All right, let me get back. My mother, Sheila, was diagnosed with ALS. My mother, Sheila, was diagnosed with ALS in 1994. My dad, Richard, who just died this month at the age of 97, was very disappointed to learn how little was known about the disease and how no treatment options were available. So in 1996, he established the Sheila Essey Award for ALS research, jointly with the American Academy of Neurology and the ALS Association Golden West chapter, one of ALSA's strongest, which my father helped found. The awardee is selected annually from a pool of scientists from around the world in acknowledgement of groundbreaking research that advances the understanding of possible causes, treatments, and discovery of a cure for ALS. One of the major impetuses for the award is to share this groundbreaking research as to a broad audience, to spur others to add on to the ideas presented to drive us closer and closer to a cure. The $50,000 annual prize is awarded by the American Brain Foundation through a grant from our family. And we're proud to say there have been 27 recipients since the start of the award. We're proud to announce that Dr. Guy Rouleau, the director of the Montreal Neurological Institute and Hospital and chair of the Department of Neurology and Neurosurgery at McGill University, is the 2020 recipient. Dr. Sikovic, would you like to say a little bit more about this year's winner?
I would very much. I also want to first say that I had the honor of knowing your father, and he's loved and revered in the ALS world, and never missed those AAN meetings and talking to us and inspiring us. Thank you for that. This year's winner has made tremendous contributions to the field of ALS as an academic, as a compassionate clinician, and a leader of a major neurology department. I got to at least know him a little bit when he was at Mass General and then meet him through the ALS community. His laboratory at McGill University has been involved clearly in the discoveries of every important major ALS gene. His group was the first to identify the role of the HDLE1 gene in ALS as one of the first clues of the important role of the nuclear pore in ALS. Even more importantly, his commitment and leadership in the whole field of science for what's called open science has led to the development of the Tannenbaum Open Science Institute in Montreal, and that helps advance medicine with open sharing so that we can move much faster in fields like ALS and other fields. Congratulations, Dr. Rouleau.
Thank you, Merritt. And now I'm honored to virtually present this year's Sheila Essey Award to Dr. Guy Rouleau. Given the current circumstances, you'll be getting your award and grant by mail. Guy, your work is focused on understanding the genetic basis for diseases of the brain with a major focus on ALS. Would you tell us more about your recent work and why it's important to the field of brain disease research broadly and ALS specifically, and what this recognition will mean for you?
Well, thank you very much. I'd first like to thank the family for having created this award and supported it over many years, and the American Academy for having chosen me this year. I think that I'm very proud to have received this award because it is given by my peers, and it is basically puts me in with a great group of ALS researchers who have received this prize over 27 years, I think you said. So very proud. I should say that ALS has been at the center of my career for my whole life. I mean, I started working on ALS in 1986 when I was at the Mass General Hospital, where Merritt is now. where my boss at the time received a pedigree of a family who had a lot of ALS cases in the family, a family from Kansas. And my boss at the time, Gusella, said, oh, this looks interesting. You know, Rouleau, maybe you'd be interested in looking at this. And he said, maybe you should work with a guy called Bob Brown. And so he introduced me to Bob Brown. And so Bob and I basically began the Familial ALS project at Mass General, which has done very well over the years, I would say. And it was the beginning of my career. So as Merritt mentioned, you know, I've spent my career trying to find genes that predispose to ALS, and once they're found, try to understand how these genetic variations predispose to the disease. And of course, ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, very difficult to understand disease, and the genetics basically opens a window to be able to understand this. So that's the history of my work. But now I'm currently I still very actively working on ALS, and I will continue to work on ALS until which time I expire, or my research career expires, which probably will all happen at the same time. And basically now two directions. One is trying to understand why do people get sporadic ALS, and I'm exploring what we call the somatic mutation hypothesis of ALS. In other words, that ALS occurs because of chance events that occur in some small groups of cells in the spinal cord of the brain, which then predispose to developing ALS. So that's one of the avenues. The other is that through the open science that Merritt mentioned, we have been building a resource of biospecimens, iPSCs, so which are induced pluripotent stem cells from a large number of ALS patients. And we've created this biobank, which is open to anyone who wants to have access to these important materials. But my research there is trying to understand why certain individuals, why their brain cells are susceptible to developing ALS as opposed to other individuals or control individuals. So trying to understand, again, the biology of what's going on in neurons derived from patients with ALS. So I think that as was mentioned by Dr. Taylor, I am very excited. We are in a very important era for brain diseases, where the number of treatments that are coming out for different brain diseases is mind-boggling. I can tell you that at my institution, we have 110 different ongoing clinical trials for 110 different treatments for different brain diseases. This is unheard of 10 years ago or 20 years ago. We're really in a very exciting time when there's many different avenues of treatment for many brain diseases, and I would say many for ALS. And I'm very much looking forward to ALS going from a untreatable fatal disease to a treatable chronic disease, or maybe even a curable disease. And this is going to happen, I think, before I retire or before I expire. And so thank you very much for this great honor. I'm very proud to have received this award, and I'm very proud to be associated also with the American Academy and the American Brain Foundation.
Thank you, Dr. Rouleau. Your research is leading to those breakthroughs that's going to make your vision come true, where we have a world where people don't have to suffer from ALS anymore. Congratulations.
That'd be incredible. Thank you. Thank you to Dr. Rouleau and to the Essey family for their generosity in making this award possible through the American Brain Foundation, and to Dr. Rouleau for your amazing research. Now, here's one of the directors of the foundation and a member of its research advisory committee, Dr. Jim Cramer. He's going to present the Scientific Breakthrough Award. This year's award honors breakthrough research in stroke, something that takes 140,000 American lives each year. Thank you, Dr. Cramer.
Thank you very much, Jim. And it's a pleasure for me to be here tonight and thank all the viewers for tuning in. You know, at the beginning of the evening, Dr. Dodig pointed out that incredible advances therapeutically that have been made in neurologic diseases, and there's nowhere where this has been greater than in the area of stroke. Stroke is the most common neurologic disease. Probably everybody watching has had somebody in their family affected by stroke. And the most common cause of stroke is not too hard to understand. It's due to a blocked artery in the brain. And the honorees tonight of the Scientific Breakthrough Award, Dr. Andrew Demchuk, Dr. Michael Hill, and Dr. Mayank Goyal at the University of Calgary, or Calgary Stroke Team, have been pioneers in developing the treatment that has revolutionized stroke treatment. It's taken the most severe stroke patients who unfortunately come into the hospital unable to move, unable to talk, and within minutes are able to be, this is able to be reversed and cured. So they've got a wonderful stroke team. Dr. Demchuk and Hill and Goyal are the Sidney Crosbys of stroke research in this day and age. And I'd like to congratulate them and let them tell us a little bit about the research that they've done. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Dr. Andrew Demchuk, who I guess is first up.
Thank you very much, Jim, for that introduction. It's on behalf of the Calgary Stroke Program, the University of Calgary, it's really a great honor to receive this award. We're grateful to the American Brain Foundation for the Scientific Breakthrough Award. The Calgary Stroke Program can be sort of summed up as a team with a capital T. We are a group of clinician scientists, large group in fact, that really get along great and are really determined to try to develop stroke treatments for this devastating disease. Over the years, we've been focusing a lot on imaging of the brain, looking at both the brain and the brain arteries, and really aiming on trying to select the right treatment for the right patient. Stroke's such a heterogeneous disease, that's, I think, really important. And now we've transitioned to leading trials using some of the imaging learnings to sort of design precision trials for patients so we can get to more therapies to them. So I wanted to pass it on to Dr. Hill now, who leads our clinical trial operation.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks very much. And thanks, Jim. Thanks to everybody at the American Brain Foundation. So let me thank, offer my thanks. We're very honored to receive this award and be recognized. The trial and the study that Jim's referring to was called the ESCAPE trial. It was actually published just a few years ago now, but it has resulted, as Jim said, in our ability to treat stroke patients with incredible precision, and we have seen patients just get better on the angiogram table. So it is remarkable, Andrew. And when we started giving intravenous TPA, and we still had lots of patients doing poorly, this advance has been amazing. It has resulted in a visible change in how we're treating stroke in our stroke unit and even around the world. We see patients now going from being completely paralyzed to walking out of the hospital on the third or fourth day after their stroke. So it has dramatically revolutionized what we're doing. Yet it's still true that many patients don't get completely better and many are still suffering. So it's great to hear Emilia Clarke's work on rehabilitation. That helps. There's lots of people who still need it. And for Sid, you'll appreciate that this trial for us was like our golden goal. But we still have more to do. There's lots of stroke patients who are still suffering, and we're working harder. Andrew and I and Mayank are still working hard to get new trials going, develop new treatments for stroke. And I hope that we might be able to, you might be able to hear from us again about new treatments for stroke in the near future. So once again, thanks very much on behalf of all of our team.
I want to thank to Dr. Grata for joining us tonight and this incredible Calgary Stroke team. I feel sometimes I just know so little about the brain and the people who are doing great things. And what you're doing at the University of Calgary just sounds incredible. Just so progressive from when my dad had a stroke years ago. And I just thought that was that. I mean, I guess there was nothing you could do. And now what you're doing It's just incredible to hear these great stories. We've got 2 more awards to share this evening. If you felt moved by the dedication to research as I have, that you've seen tonight, we need you to donate. Please help us cure brain disease. Tall order. There's so many of them. Brain disease at AmericanBrainFoundation.org. That's AmericanBrainFoundation.org. With some of the smartest people in the world, and I always feel like you just learned so much from everyone here, but we need to support these people or else we won't get where we have to go. Now I'm going to hand this off to our host, to Dr. David Dodick, who I've managed to be able to, I have been able to meet, and I am a huge Philadelphia Eagle fan. And the owner of the Eagles, Jeff Lurie, he's always been very nice to me. And then one day I said I knew Dr. David Dodick, and ever since then he's decided I'm a really smart guy because I know Dr. Dodick. And I'm going to hit to Susan Schneider, who's done such a great job. Susan Schneider-Williams. She's the chair and vice chair of the American Brain Foundation. I wish so much that we could have done this in person, because I would have taken everybody out with my wife. We would have had a darn good time. To Dr. Dodick, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Jim. We're going to hold you. We're going to take a rain check on that invitation, okay?
That would be so much fun.
So, lastly, I'd like to recognize the recipient of the American Brain Foundation's 2020 Board Chair Award. And the recipient this year is Kathy Rydell. This was actually the first decision as incoming board chair that I had to make, and almost certainly will be the easiest. In many ways, Kathy was the architect and leader who helped shape this organization during her 21 years as the Chief Executive Officer of the American Academy of Neurology. During that time, she served as Executive Director of the American Brain Foundation for many years and served on its board of directors up until her recent retirement last month. And so I had the chance to work with Kathy on the board of the American Brain Foundation over the last few years. She really helped transform the American Brain Foundation from a neurologist charity to a national charitable organization that appeals to patients, caregivers, and the general public. Kathy developed and protected our research mission. She built and strengthened our partnership with the American Academy of Neurology, and she has seen us through many stages of growth. The board of directors and the staff of the American Brain Foundation couldn't be more grateful to you, Kathy. Your work has enabled the foundation to give millions of dollars for research. It's enabled the foundation to jumpstart research careers like my own almost 26 years ago, and to widen the scope to include the public. You're a true hero in the fight against brain diseases, Kathy, and so I congratulate you. I also want to acknowledge the recipient of the American Brain Foundation new Ted Burns Humanism in Neurology Award. And the recipient this year is Professor John Stone. Professor Stone is an outstanding educator, researcher, and clinician, and his advocacy and humanism towards patients with functional neurological disorders, which when I was training, and even up until recently, really didn't get much attention. He's been transformative for the field and has helped give birth really to a new subspecialty area within neurology, which will lead, no doubt, to improved care for so many patients. So thank you for your leadership, Dr. Stone, and congratulations. And that wraps up our awards for the night. A huge thank you to Jim Cramer. Jim, I hope you're happy with the recent NFL draft. And I really hope I see you at an Eagles game next year. And thanks so much for making tonight's event truly special.
I want to say I'm just honored to be here with such incredible people, with Susan Schneider-Williams, Dr. Dodick, and all the brilliant minds who are trying to make it so that it's okay to talk about it and admit it and own it. Maybe some of the doctors, Dr. Dodick, will know what migraine is. You think that we can get maybe 2 hours in med school and not just an hour?
Jim, with your wind at our back, I'm positive that we can do it. And so, though we can't all be here in person as planned tonight, I thank you all for taking time to be with us this evening and for your support. I wish you all the very best and wish you all good health. Susan?
Yes, I just want to thank everyone for being a part of this tonight. Everyone at home who showed up. You didn't have to suit up and show up, but you showed up, and that's more than anything to us. It means the world. And everyone who is beyond those who received awards tonight, those who in their own right, in their own life, with their own experience, are helping others to raise awareness around brain disease, we appreciate you. So this was a fun night, and it was so, so meaningful. Jim, you're awesome. We really appreciate your help this evening. Tonight at our own virtual, our first, who knows if it's the last, but our first Commitment to Cures event, we have raised more than, Jim, can I get a drum roll? $200,000, surpassing our goal in celebration and support of research to end brain disease. What a night. On behalf of the American Brain Foundation, we thank all of you for your support as we continue to fight to cure brain disease. We turn to you for help in making our shared vision possible. Invite your family and friends to go to theamericanbrainfoundation.org to learn more about our efforts. Stay safe and healthy, and we thank you all for joining us at Commitment to Cures. Bye, everyone.